and then if it comes back, let's say it comes back at triple zeros for some reason, then I would compel you to take a blood test based on your eyes, your mannerisms, your actions, things like that.
What does that mean, compel me to take it?
January 4th, 2020, in Loveland, Colorado.
Hi, how you doing?
A man is pulled over for going about 18 miles an hour over the limit and missing a signal on a lane change, and he is arrested for driving under the influence. What you just heard was the officer, inside the station, telling him what would happen if the breath test came back at zeros, before that test was ever given. Minutes later, it did come back at zeros. Triple zeros. No alcohol at all. This is the full recording, and the one line in Colorado law that decides whether what came next was legal.
Hi, how you doing? Good. Hey, Officer Gates. The reason I stopped you, you didn't signal your lane change, and we're going about 15 to 18 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. No, you moved from the center lane over to the left lane, and you failed to signal your lane change. Okay. All right. Do you have a driver's license and insurance with you? Yeah, that's cool. How much have you had to drink tonight?
That's it.
What's that? I said, how much have you had to drink tonight? You don't want to answer that question? Okay. Well, I smell the overwhelming odor of alcohol coming from your vehicle. You're doing 22 miles an hour under the speed limit, and you failed to signal a lane change. Okay.
Start with the law the officer is about to lean on, because he is not inventing it. Colorado has what is called an express consent statute. By driving on Colorado roads, you have already agreed in advance that if an officer has probable cause to believe you are driving under the influence, you will take a chemical test. That part is not optional. But read the next line carefully, because it is the line this entire case turns on. For alcohol, the statute says the driver picks which test.
Hey, sir, I'm going to have you step out of the car for me, okay? All right, you can just leave your phone in the car. Sure. Okay, come on back here for me. All right, man. So the reason that I asked you out of the car is obviously I could smell an overwhelming odor of alcohol. Don't fall over there. Coming from your vehicle. Your eyes are bloodshot, watery, glassy. So how much have you had to drink?
I'm not going to answer any questions.
Okay. Would you want to do some voluntary tests for me to make sure that you're safe to drive?
Nope.
Okay. All right, go ahead and turn around, face your vehicle.
Sure.
Place your hands behind your back, interlace your fingers with your palms together.
Listen to the word the officer himself uses for the roadside tests. Voluntary. That is not a slip, and it is not generosity. The walking, the standing on one leg, the eyes following a finger, in Colorado those roadside maneuvers really are voluntary, and you can decline them. The chemical test after an arrest is the one you have already consented to. Most people get that exactly backwards.
Alright, go ahead and have a seat for me. So I have to advise you of what's called Colorado Express Consent, okay? And that says by the act of driving in the state of Colorado, when arrested for driving under the influence, which you're under arrest for that charge right now, you've already expressly consented to a chemical test of your blood or your breath. Which test would you like to take?
I don't know. I'd have to understand that a little better.
So, by the act of driving in the state of Colorado, when arrested for driving under the influence, which you're under arrest for that charge right now, you've already expressly given your consent to a chemical test of your blood or your breath. Which test would you like to take?
Can I understand the extent of the, you just called it expressed consent law?
Yeah, so when you sign for your driver's license, you already expressly consented to a chemical test of your blood or your breath if you're arrested for driving under the influence.
Okay.
So which chemical test would you like to take?
So do I have an is that the legal definition of is that the understanding that I'm allowed to have?
Yes, that's what I'm supposed to advise you of when you're under arrest for driving under the influence. It's called Colorado Express Consent. And I'll tell you again, that means by the act of driving in the state of Colorado, when arrested for driving under the influence, which you're under arrest for that charge right now, you've already expressly...
So the officer offers both, exactly as the statute requires, and Harris Elias makes his choice. He picks the breath test. Under the statute, that choice is his to make, and once it is made, it is binding. He cannot switch later, and failing to complete the test he picked counts as a refusal. He picks breath. He completes it. He blows 0.000.
Yeah, so a 0.05 to a 0.079 is a DWAI, and then if it comes back, let's say it comes back at triple zeros for some reason, then I would compel you to take a blood test based on your eyes, your mannerisms, your actions, things like that.
What does that mean, compel me to take it?
I would ask you to do that. Okay, go ahead and stand there. Alright, so go ahead and take a deep breath and hold it for 3 seconds. I'll hang on to the tube. Alright, go ahead and blow as hard as you can and as long as you can. Okay, that's good. Alright, go ahead and have a seat. Not as easy as you would think.
Go back to what opened this video, because it is the most important 20 seconds in the whole recording. Before the breath test was administered, before the machine produced any number at all, the officer told Harris Elias what he would do if it came back at zeros. He would compel a blood test anyway, based on his eyes and his mannerisms. Now hold that against the statute. A breath machine measures one thing, alcohol. So a zero kills the alcohol theory, and the statute's second door opens only for drugs, and only when it is reasonable to require it. Here, the decision was announced before the evidence existed.
What's going on, okay? This is triple zeros. That's not consistent with somebody driving 22 miles an hour under the speed limit, failing to signal their lane change, bloodshot, watery, glassy eyes, falling against the rear of your vehicle after you exited. It's not consistent. So that's why I told you, again, that I'll ask you to take a blood test. And refusal to submit to that chemical test can result in administrative sanctions against your driving privileges. So would you like to take a blood test?
Would I like to? I guess.
And here is where it stops being abstract, because the officer is about to put a number on this. If cases like this one are what you want, the actual statute, the actual subsection, read against the actual footage. Subscribing is the only thing that tells me to keep making them.
And everything else you're driving are not consistent with a sober person, okay? You elected to take a chemical test of your breath and you blew triple zeros, which leads me to believe that there's some other impairing substance in your system that could only be detected by a blood test, because the only thing that can be detected by a breath test is alcohol. So that's why I'm asking you to take a chemical test of your blood.
Okay, just so that I can...
Okay, will you take a chemical test of your blood or your breath? I'm not going to sit here and debate this with you. I've given you your options, okay? Would you take a chemical test of your blood or your breath? I will give you one more opportunity to say yes, I will take it, no, I will not take it, and then we're going to move on, okay? I'm not going to debate this with you in a philosophical manner. That's not what we're...
Redundant test in my... I have very limited medical training.
All right, so
like,
Mr. Elias, what we're going to do is we're going to say, are you going to sign the consent form or not? Because this is turning into a debacle. If you want to request one of the vials of blood, you can do that. Are you going to sign the consent form or not? Okay, I'm going to mark that as a refusal.
I did not refuse, sir.
Okay. Well, are you going to sign the form or not? That's where we're at. Are you going to sign the form or not? Yes or no?
I have questions about the form, and I haven't even been able to read the entire form from top to bottom.
Okay, so right here, what it says is consent form, name of subject. I have granted permission for my blood samples to be taken.
The form, sir. There's a lot of fine print on that. I'm not trying to make your job difficult. I'm trying to understand the form. This is a Colorado Bureau of Investigations form. You told me that there was an express consent form before. It's very confusing.
There's nothing confusing.
I'm under stress. My freedom is at stake, sir, and you're out of line.
Okay, then go ahead and put your hands on the handcuffs. We'll just call this a refusal.
I never refused, sir. I simply asked to read the form.
Okay, well, and again, I've explained the form to you a number of times, okay? So, refusal to submit to a chemical test can result in the administrative sanctions against your driving privilege. Okay.
So do I have an opportunity to sign the form or not? Do I have an opportunity to read the form?
Here's the deal, I'm not. Okay.
Understand what that argument is actually about, because it is not semantics. Under the same statute, failing to cooperate in completing the test is deemed a refusal, and a refusal is not just a bad look in court. It triggers administrative sanctions against your license from the Department of Revenue, separate from the criminal case, and it happens even if you are completely innocent. So when Elias keeps repeating that he never refused, he is not being difficult. He is defending his driver's license in real time.
Is over.
Can you please explain to me what you were talking about earlier with the express consent form?
Express consent is a form that I will fill out, and you will be notified of your blood results with the express consent form. This form is simply you consenting to a certified phlebotomist to draw your blood to be analyzed by the Colorado Bureau of Investigation lab.
But that's not what this says. Is there more to it?
No. That's the consent form to draw your
Show
blood.
that top part up so that I can see what that says, because I'm not
This is
seeing
your
that.
personal information up here. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
So I'm not seeing what you're telling me doesn't seem to add up. And as a person who signs contracts all day, every day, long version, short version.
The blood was drawn that night, just before 2 in the morning. 2 vials, sent to the state of Colorado for analysis. Weeks later the results came back, and they were negative. No alcohol, which the breath test had already established, and no drugs either. Nothing. The second theory, the one used to justify taking his blood, had nothing behind it. The Larimer County District Attorney's Office dismissed the charges. And then the case got bigger than one night. As the lawsuit moved forward, Elias's lawyers went looking, and they found at least a dozen other people arrested for DUI by Loveland police whose tests came back clean too. In December 2023, the City of Loveland paid Elias $400,000 to settle. His attorney says that is the largest non-confidential payment ever made in Colorado to settle a wrongful DUI arrest where nobody was physically injured and nobody spent time in jail. Officer William Gates no longer works for the department. So here is the practical part. 1. Roadside maneuvers are voluntary, and the officer in this video says so out loud. The chemical test after an arrest is not. 2. For alcohol, the choice of breath or blood is yours, it is binding, and not completing the one you picked is treated as a refusal that costs you your license. 3. And almost nobody knows this, a clean breath test does not automatically end a DUI stop, because breath only measures alcohol. But the pivot to drugs is not free, the statute requires that it be reasonable. Tell me in the comments which legal question you want taken apart next.